aim to motivate and inspire viewers to enjoy the clothes they wear as an expression of their personality and their beliefs. This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look.
Hello, welcome to episode 51 of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda and I'm your host. And I have to start with another sip of coffee. It's already cooling down and I'm really keen on it. Oh, lovely. I started drinking coffee with oat milk recently, a couple of months ago. And I like it so much better than regular milk. What's your experience? Do you ever drink coffee with oat milk rather than cow milk? I've virtually stopped drinking cow milk altogether. When I make a sauce, for example, then I'll put milk in. I haven't actually tried doing that with oat milk yet, but anything else, oat milk. Right, let's get to it, shall we? In this episode, I will give you a short update on my knitting, and there's another long layer cake section that talks about putting a capsule collection of 6 layer cake pieces together, which with a couple of tops and maybe if you fancy it, a pair of leggings, could make up an entire wardrobe because you can combine the pieces in so many different ways. Part of the reason for that idea of going for what could make up a capsule collection was a discussion that took place on Instagram, that I started on Instagram stories this week. So I'll talk about that a little bit as well. Before anything else though, a quick update on my knitting and then into layer cake. So my knitting this past week, I actually have done a little bit of knitting on the sock that I've got here in a little bag that I carry around with me that I will dig out now. It's a sock blank that I've worked with. Nearly pulled the cover off my needles. I've got a little needle cover to keep my work on so I can carry this around in a little bag and it won't come off and my needles won't pierce the bag, etc. So I actually did do a little bit of work on this sock this past Sunday when we planned to make a last family day out to an English heritage site near Hastings. And we got about 10 minutes down the road and what turned out to be a hose of the radiator coolant into the engine snapped. So we lost our radiator coolant. The engine started to overheat. And when we came to a roundabout to turn onto the M25, it was very clear, slowing down. There was immediately smoke coming out of the engine, which looked very alarming, of course. So rather than proceeding our journey, we turned back onto the A3 back towards home so that we could pull over on the lay-by and call the AA. We first thought that we had lost oil, but it was this snapped hose of radiator fluid. So we waited for the AA, which was there within an hour, about 45 minutes. And the guy then worked for another 45 minutes on the car, but managed to completely repair it, refill the radiator fluid, put the antifreeze in, etc. And all we paid for was the antifreeze. So big plug for the AA, was fantastic. But it made our family day out fall in the water. Despite all that, we actually ended up having a fantastic time. I think all 5 of us were committed to enjoy each other's company that day, so we did. But while I was standing next to the car and we were waiting for the AA man and then followed by the repair, I managed to finish the heel turn and started knitting down the foot of this sock. Good thing I brought my knitting. Of course, I never leave it behind. So I carry it around in a little bum bag that I'm wearing today as well. And you'll see it in the Layercake section, because I'll talk about bum bags some more, and potentially Layercake bum bags for the future. So that's my first work in progress. The second one is the engineered seams sweater that you've seen me work on for the last couple of weeks. My palette cleanser of lots and lots of stockinette stitching, and I'm really enjoying it. 3¼ mm needles, and I've now finished the first sleeve. What you do is that same seam kind of detail that you see running over the top of the sleeve here, you start that underneath the arm, you go halfway down the arm, and then it starts twisting, just like you get the twisting from the side seam. This twists over the top of your hand, and you do the same thing on the other side. And I hope you can see it, but this sleeve, you end up decreasing, and when you get to your wrist, you increase again. So the sleeves are really long and really sit over the top of your hand, which is something that I love. And there are no cuffs or anything. In the pattern, you literally just cast off, and there's no edging whatsoever. What I do though is I love to have the look of the invisible edges, and I don't really like cast off stitches. I don't like the look of them. So at the end of my knitting, I do the two preparatory rows of the knit one, purl one rib, but you end up skipping stitches, and then you do a sewn bind off. I will put a link for a good tutorial, a picture tutorial rather than a video tutorial of that bind off underneath here in the down bar. I absolutely love it. I use it a lot. I do it for all my socks, for example. It's both for casting on and casting off. I use the same system, and you get the same beautiful edges with stitches that look like they go around the corner. I've mentioned it before, so if you've watched this before, you've heard me about it before. On the other side, my other sleeve, I've just started to do that twisted seam, and that twisted seam runs in the same direction as on the right sleeve, so you don't mirror them, you go in the same direction. So whereas here the seam comes from underneath and goes over the top of your hand, on the other side it'll go underneath and go underneath your hand and come to the other side. So I really like the asymmetric look that creates, just like the asymmetric look of the jumper altogether. Of course, I've pinched this behind because my circumference is a lot bigger than this mannequin's, and I wanted to give you an idea of what this jumper does when it doesn't have a lot of positive ease, and that's the idea behind it. If you haven't heard me talk about this yet, you knit this jumper with very little or no positive ease to allow all the short rows that have happened here to do the folding that kind of runs across the jumper. I love the look of it, and only half a sleeve to go, so hopefully this weekend I'll be able to finish that. And then I've already got ideas for my next project. I'm enjoying the no-brain, continuous, fast, in my case, stockinette stitch enormously at the moment. I think it's a bit of a reaction to the fact that the kids are about to move out. They're all moving out, and our eldest is taking the cat, which we promised her she could do years ago. So we're losing 3 kids and a cat, not living with us anymore on a day-to-day basis, all within the next 3 or so weeks. So I can feel that already. It's a real bittersweet thing. I am loving it and hating it at the same time. I'm really aware at the moment how much time the like ferrying the kids around, for some of them anyway, and helping them with things and just general discussions. They discuss a lot with me, and how much time that takes on a daily basis. So on the one hand, it's like, oh my gosh, I can get a bit of extra time and extra life back that I haven't had for a very long time, and I really, really revel in that, in the idea of that happening. But of course, the turn side of that is that I'm going to miss them tremendously. Our daughter has been in and out for years. Well, she disappeared for nearly 5 years doing her studies abroad. But of course, in the past year, because of the pandemic, she's been back at home with us. She's more than ready to strike out on her own for good now. I mean, she's 24, so she's going to move all the way to Nottingham. So, I mean, it's less than 3 hours drive, so it's not too bad. And then one boy is going to go to Bristol and the other one is a bit closer. He's at Royal Holloway. But as he says, yes, of course, I can jump back home, but my base will have changed because it's just the two of you guys at home. Even the cat's gone. So he's very aware of that as well. So all 5 of us are a little bit rabbit in the headlights because of the impending changes, even though we're all looking forward to those changes as well. And I think that is part of the reason that I'm enjoying the very straightforward stockinette stitch at the moment. The trance-like state that it evokes when you just get into the zone of this continuous knit, 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 knit going in the round. I absolutely love that, and it's doing me a lot of good at the moment. So rather than choosing a very colorful colorwork jumper to cast on next, I'm going to do another stockinette jumper. It's going to be another jumper for me, and it's going to be oversized. I have seen jumpers in what is my best color in the world, which is that glaringly bright pink. I've seen those made by Rundholz, one of my favorite fashion brands, for this autumn. They're doing that particular color in knits of wool and cashmere and even raccoon, which is one of their favorite fibers to work with. I've got one of their jumpers, which I think is maybe a mixture of wool and raccoon. It's not pure raccoon. I bought it second hand a number of years ago on eBay, and my goodness, raccoon is a bit like yak, like baby yak, in terms of the warmth of the fibers. It's extremely warm. So anyway, I digress. Rundholz has these oversized bright jumpers in their autumn collection, and Rundholz jumpers are extremely expensive. I cannot afford them. But of course it gave me the idea of like, ooh, a bright pink jumper to wear, because I know it's a color that suits me so well. Wouldn't that be cool to knit and just plain stockinette stitch? And I remembered that I had a bag of 4-ply yarn, and it was called Araucania Botany Lace. It's called lace, but it's actually a 4-ply. I think it's 410 meters per 100 grams. I'll put the brand down below. I don't think it's a yarn that's being made anymore. And I once bought a whole kilo of it in that pink, really, really cheaply. I think it must have been from Black Sheep Wools, maybe, at one of the shows. It must have been 10 years ago at least. I've never done anything with the yarn. I bought it thinking that maybe I would over-dye it. I bought it before knowing that in terms of the kind of colors that I wear, it's one of my best colors, if not the best color. So I've had it in my stash all these years, and I remembered it when I saw the bright pink jumpers online. So that's my next project. Soon to come on a body near you. Of course, I'll keep showing it off as I knit it. I don't really know what kind of shape I'm going to go for yet, but I think I'm going to do my own thing, not follow an existing pattern, and I want to bring in a roundness to it. Maybe just a slight tulip shape, just like the tulip shapes that the Layercake dress has, but do that tulip shape around the back and around my bum, so that kind of drop shape. I don't know yet. I will keep you posted as to what I'm going to do. It's very likely to involve a combination of short rows like this, but at the back, and maybe some kind of diagonal increases and decreases. I don't know yet, but I'll tell you. All right, so that's it for my knitting at the moment. What else to tell you before we dive into Layercake? I have really had a lovely time with a big discussion that I created on Instagram stories, and it started with me making a remark about how, in a really awkward way, the generation of fast fashion that we've had in the last 20 years or so pushing its way through, and people being able to afford a much bigger wardrobe and own a much larger number of garments, and therefore not having to mend and repair those garments anymore, has finally severed the connection that existed for so long, that wearing clothes that are mended in a visible way, in any way visible, are a sign of poor workmanship on the part of the mender, and a source of shame for the sake of having to mend your clothes rather than to prolong their life, rather than buying new ones. With so many more people being able to afford to buy so many more new pieces, the idea, and discard them as well, the idea of mending garments to prolong their life has disappeared for years, really. Now, mending socks, of course, came back in with all the hand knitters not wanting to throw out socks that they had spent a lot of money and time on to create if they wore holes in them. So amongst knitters, mending your knitting has been quite popular for quite a while already, but it's finally becoming more popular and more accepted as well in with sewn garments to do mends of those. Now, right from the beginning with Layercake, I've been really promoting the idea of mending your layer cakes and not making those mends invisible, but make them visible instead, and really treat a layer cake as a canvas to embellish and make more interesting with different colored patches, etc. So rather than hiding the mends, you bring them to the fore and treat them as an embellishment rather than something that you need to hide. So the presence of fast fashion for a decade or two has severed that connection for at least part of the population. And I know that in my corner of makers and knitters, that has definitely been the case. That connection has definitely been broken. I also know that there are lots of people and lots of slices of the population where that is not the case at all, and where people do still frown on the idea of mending your clothes, and where it really is still something frowned upon and something that is a sign of not being able to afford new. And wanting the best for your kids is buying new kind of thing. I very, very, very rarely bought new for my kids when they were little, because I just thought it was a complete waste of money. Regardless of budget, kids grow in and out of clothes so quickly that I think it's a great idea to pass them around. And I never made the connection with that being a sign of either affluence or poverty. Now, of course, you can brush that off as me being very privileged, and there are definitely parts of my life that are privileged. However, when we brought up the kids, I was in a large number of years where I was not earning any money, and our budget really was quite small for any peripherals like clothes, and that's really when I got into buying secondhand for myself and for the kids. I just never saw any shame in that. So I got so many lovely responses to my assertion that that connection between shame and mending clothes is severed because of fast fashion in a roundabout way, with people pointing out that's not the case where I live, or that's not the case for all the people that I see or know around me. And then getting a really interesting perspective as well from somebody who says, yes, on the one hand, you can connect it to money, but it doesn't have to be connected to money. I now personally connect it to mindset. And I thought that was a really valuable perspective. It's much closer to my perspective as well. So that was from a lady in Germany. Her name is Tamara. I just wanted to say hi to you, Tamara, because I know you watch the podcast. So I hope this is a pleasant surprise that I'm saying hi to you personally on the podcast. And thank you again for your participation in the whole discussion and for offering me your perspective, which I thought was a fabulous one. So that discussion really made me realize that there are so many other issues around the idea of a slow wardrobe where we can have valuable discussions on. So watch this space. If you watch this podcast but you don't follow me on Instagram yet, please do, on Instagram or on Facebook. I will try to do some more of these discussions on Facebook as well. You can find me everywhere as The Slow Wardrobe, and I really want to use those platforms to have those conversations and be able to enrich each other with our various perspectives and see where and how a slow wardrobe can fit into anybody's life and at anybody's budget. It's not a matter of purely promoting the clothes that the slow wardrobe offers to the world, but it's really to provoke the thinking and the ideas in other people's mind of where and how a slow wardrobe can be a really, really enriching part of your life. Whether you've got a big budget to grow it or not really isn't the point. It's the mindset ultimately that counts. So if you have more to say about that and give me more feedback on it, then please do. In response, of course, to this episode would be great. The other thing that I will start doing more of is some like mini competitions on Instagram about like naming fabrics, for example, and doing little prize giveaways and just having more discussion. I really enjoyed that so much this past week. So I will try and put my thinking cap on and come up with some more ideas in that direction as well. So watch that space too. But that was it in terms of knitting and other related and non-related knitting issues around Layercake. Let's jump into Layercake and look at a capsule collection. Like I said, really informed by the discussion this past week on Instagram, but also with a view on giving you some ideas as to if you, with the world slowly opening up, have an opportunity to do some traveling and go somewhere for either a shorter period of time or a longer period of time, how do you select what to bring? And giving you some ideas about that and giving you a formula that will hopefully help you pack lightly and travel light. I hope you enjoy it. Here we go with Layercake. Six layer cakes to make up a capsule collection, a almost complete wardrobe apart from under pieces like long sleeve t-shirts, any knits that you make yourself. But going back to the investment that a lot of people see Layercake to be, because the pieces last long, are made right here locally in the UK, and are comfortable and easy to wear. And most importantly, and what I'm going to show you today, is how to combine them effortlessly and in so many ways, all based on just the 6 pieces that I start with. What I have in succession are the play suit that I'm wearing, a pair of Palazzo trousers. So those are the 2 bottom pieces, if you like, even though the play suit of course is a full body garment. Then staying with the full body garments, I've got a dress. Then I have a shirt, white shirt, still in this case, because that's all we've made so far. Other colors coming this autumn, like I promised. So then we are at 4. We have the play suit, the Palazzo trousers, the dress and the shirt. And then the last 2 pieces that I have are either a smock or a tabard, depending on what you prefer to wear. I'm going to show you both, but the idea is that the capsule collection only contains one of them, and a step top. And I've gone for the smaller step top, and I'll explain to you why as we go. So what I'm going to do with those 2 pieces is generate a whole number of outfits that is so large and so diverse that you can see that just those 6 pieces would be enough to base your entire wardrobe at home around. So when it comes to you wanting to adopt a Layercake look kind of lifestyle in your wardrobe, you can start with just 1 or 2 and build it up very gradually. Or you can jump in if funds allow and go for the whole thing in one go. Some people manage to do that, and some people save up for it. Other people save up for just that first piece. And of course, any and all of that is fine, however it suits you and whatever your budget allows. So we're starting with this play suit, which of course can just be worn by itself in summertime. And you can add something like a shawl or a scarf if the temperature demands that. Let me show that to you just so we can keep going. I'll bring in 1 or 2 knitted items, to accessories for want of a better word, to complement the Layercake pieces that I'm showing. This is one of the mystery knits that Stephen West did a couple of years ago, and I literally had it lying here, so I thought, oh, that saves me walking to the other room. It's got a couple of different colors in it, which also makes it easier to combine it with lots of other colors as well, and it can actually pull an outfit together, as you've seen me do before. But here is the knit that I'll use throughout, and a really effective extra little layer when you're just wearing a play suit without any top underneath. What I'll do for the rest of the video is put one of the long sleeve tops that I often wear at these sessions underneath, and then we'll get going on building the layer cakes. So the top that I've chosen is one of those sludgy, nondescript colors. It's kind of grayish, brownish, slightly greenish, and I think those kind of colors form a very useful, and especially when I'm constantly changing, very useful backdrop. However, it doesn't have to be sludgy colors that you use as base color, and at some point in the sequence of outfits that I'm showing you today, I will swap this for a much brighter top, just to show you how you can liven up an outfit by changing one piece for a brighter color. So most of the pieces that I've selected are quite neutral in color, but if you add 1 or 2 pieces that have a bit more oomph in their color, then again, of course, that can make a big difference too. It's the layer cakes that can be bright, or the garments that you wear with it. So here's the play suit. Let's add the next garment. The smock that I've chosen for today is the black gingham, and some people look better in a smock or prefer the look and feel of a smock, and some people prefer a tabard. The main difference between them is the smock is more curvy in the way it is cut, so it's more generous around the hips, whereas a tabard is more of a straight A-line. When it comes to the top, they are exactly the same. They've got the same bust width, but the tabard are just straight lines out as an A-line does, and then that point, whereas this is more curvy around the hips, and of course it's got the curve at the bottom as well, so it's got a bit of a different feel about it with those curves. But the curves of course also generate bigger bottoms and bigger hips, or bigger garments underneath, depending on how you'd like to dress. So this is the smock, look number 2, and now I'll show you the tabard, which still counts as look number 2, because I've just brought in the tabard as an alternative for the smock, not as an additional garment. The tabard, as I told you, you can see that this is tighter around my hips. I still have positive ease, but it would grab my hips more easily and therefore show them more. That's just my hips sticking out more, and that's my shape. But however, if you have a shape that doesn't have the pear shape that I have, then you may find that you actually prefer the straighter lines of a tabard over those exaggerated curves that the smock has. And then there's of course a whole bunch of people who can wear both. I mean, I can wear both, although in my opinion, my hips are getting a little bit generous for this size tabard, which of course would allow me to go a size up to a size 2. This is the size 1, which just has a little bit of positive ease, just a couple of inches on me, which is enough really to make it comfortable. But if I put a size 2 on, it would still look fine. Shall I do that just to quickly show you, to see the difference between being close to the limit in a size 2 or in a size 1, or any size really, being close to the limit of the size of layer cake that you wear, and then the difference that it makes if you go up 1 size in the same garment. So here comes a size 2 tabard. I've just come up with that idea, so it may have to be a different color than this one. I don't know if I've got the peacock in a size 2, but here we go. I thought so. I didn't have a peacock in a size 1, but here is a blue cross weave in a size 2. Just like I said, I mean, does that look so much different? It's slightly longer, but that extra width, which of course is substantial here around the bust, is an extra 6 inches. What happens is the garment just lies flat against you. So even though I've got a lot more space, the garment hangs very similar. Where it hangs a bit more generous, of course, is in this area over my hips. I won't get that catching of the fabric around the back here, and it just makes me more comfortable if the fabric just hangs over those curves rather than pinches and accentuates them. And I think you know what I'm talking about, but because we always tend to focus that stuff on the front, don't forget what's happening in the back, and have a look at what the back of your silhouette looks like to make sure that you're comfortable with that as well. I've got a tip about that coming a little bit further along in the program, about cinching your waist in and wearing things around your waist when you're wearing layer cake, and the effect that that might have on any jutty out hip bits, and how can you hide that if you're that way inclined. So a size 2 tabard instead of a size 1, to make the whole thing more flowy and generous and comfortable if you're getting really close, or you are very close to the edge between one size or another. And of course, when you are layering these garments with more pieces underneath, then it's a bit more important that the piece fits you generously. rather than the piece being the one that is always worn at the bottom, which, for example, of course, is the play suit. You may end up wearing a jumper that you have knitted yourself, which may be generous in proportions underneath a play suit. And if you do that, you have to keep that in mind in terms of the amount of positive ease that the play suit has, so that it doesn't all look too bunchy and too stuffed. But if you don't ever wear anything bulky underneath your play suit and you just wear things over the top, then of course you can choose a more fitted shape, because the play suits do have a lot of extra fabric around your hips when they come out, so they can be more fitted, just like the smock does. They have that same curvy shape, so they can be more fitted around the bust. Now, talking of things to wear underneath a play suit, of course, when we're talking about Layercake, the one particular and obvious example would be the white shirt. So wearing a white shirt underneath a play suit is of course easy to do and looks great, just like it would do underneath any of the other Layercakes. But what about wearing it over the top? If you wear your play suits tighter, then can you still combine it with a white shirt? Of course you can. Let's have a look at that. Here it is, kind of rushing ahead and imagining that we've got different colors of this shirt coming in this autumn. The shirt, just like the step top is, forms a wonderful piece to wear on top of other Layercakes. The other thing that we do with the shirts is we cut them with a slightly bigger bust, so with more positive ease when you go for the same size as the others. So with the others, I mean the other Layercake garments. So if you imagine the bust of the play suit and then compare that with, and I'm wearing a size 1 play suit at the moment, and then you compare that with a size 1 shirt, the bust of a size 1 shirt, then you'll find that the size, the shirt of the same size has got 1 or 2 inches of extra positive ease, and that is so that you can comfortably wear it over the top as well as underneath. Because this is the medium weight linen, it's easier to tuck underneath, and it will fold in those couple of inches very easily when you wear it under the same size of Layercake. But when you wear it over the top, it's great to have that little bit of extra positive ease and room of movement when it comes to space for your arms to move, etc. In terms of fit, it works great. So what other pieces have I got lined up? Because so far we've only done 3 of them: the play suit, a smock or tabard, and the shirt. Let's bring in a 4th, a step top. I've gone for a slightly brighter color in the case of the step top, and I've put it over the top of the white shirt to show you an outfit that is great for winter wear inside, because this is warm, guys. 3 Layercakes and an undershirt, or for a walk outside in the autumn when it's nippy out. Instead of putting a jacket on, you can just throw a step top over the top of what you're wearing, and with 3 layers of linen and an undershirt, you're going to be toasty. Speaking of toasty, I'm getting really toasty, so let's lose some of these layers. Phew, narrowly avoided meltdown. I was getting really warm there. So another outfit, the play suit with the step top. And this is where I'll show you the thing that I was talking about with regards to cinching in the waist of something like a play suit, and liking the idea of that, but not the look of it when you're looking at your back and you see your hips jutting out. So what I wanted to show you is that I really enjoy wearing bags around my waist, little bum bags. I like to wear either a crossbody bag or one of the, how would you call them, bum bags, fanny packs, those kind of bags. I've got one here that I'll grab and I'll put it around my waist to show you what I discovered with regards to the step top and wearing one of those bags. Back in a minute. This is what I'm talking about. A bag that you wear with a strap around your waist and then that hangs down in front. And what I do is put it such that it kind of covers my tummy, but the weight of it is actually below my tummy, just at the top of my legs. So I can move very freely. I have access to my knitting. I've actually got knitting in here, even though I haven't knitted on this piece pretty much all week. Got lots of other things as well, but I've actually got a sock that I'm knitting in this bag. Wonderful and great as an alternative to using your side pockets for your knitting. So having one of these is great. And of course there are plans afoot to do a Layercake version of a bag like this. But very recently, when I went on a day out with the family and I wanted to wear this pack, I really don't like, back to the hip issue, how it shows your hips jutting out by having this strap sitting right on top of them. So, solution, step top. Of course, look at that. Gone. Great line in the back, great line in the front, and I'm showing off my baggie. So there we go. The idea was born. We've got to add these to the Layercake range, don't you think? And if you have a pack like that, wear it together with a step top. You've got access. The step top doesn't cover it, but it does cover the back. Really good in terms of security as well. Nobody can grab this or unclip it. Some of these clips are right at the back of your back, so somebody could clip that and nip that from you or whatever. So if you go, thank goodness we can go places again, although may I urge everybody to stay really careful, wear masks, etc. We really aren't out of the woods yet, guys, in terms of the coronavirus. I firmly believe that. And it's one of the reasons that you won't see me rushing back to shows with people trying on clothes all the time. And imagine coming back from a show and I'm fine, but Andrea, because she's had to measure lots of people, ends up coming back with the coronavirus. I wouldn't be able to live with myself. So we're not going to go there, not yet. However, we've got me here on YouTube and I will keep sending out the newsletters, etc. So I hope you keep watching me. I hope you'll keep opening your newsletters and we can be in contact that way. And the discussions, of course, on Instagram. I will try and keep those coming and every now and then bring up an issue that I think is worthy of a discussion on Instagram in stories. I really enjoyed that. So the bags, the bum bags in combination with the step top. Let me know what you think of the idea. Nothing to see in the back, but really nice focus on the front, and of course easy access to your things. And as an outfit, don't you think it works really well? And it doesn't really matter what colors you combine. It's just a fun and funky outfit. And that's another thing that I'm trying to emphasize with this particular set of garments as well. I haven't grabbed particularly exciting colors. It's just like whatever colors you like, you can substitute these for, and then grab one or two garments that are slightly brighter in color, or your absolute favorite color, for example, or keep everything neutral and then play with color in the garments that you add to it that are non-layer cakes. So you could keep all your layer cakes super, super neutral if you wanted to, and then play with colors in your accessories, in the tops that you wear with it, in the leggings, in the shoes that you combine with it, for example. So that is completely up to you. Let's keep going and let's keep adding more garments, because there are two that we haven't touched on yet. We're only 4 garments in still. So I'm going to change the bottom. I'm going to get out of the play suit and wear a pair of palazzos instead, and then play around with those. So here are the palazzos. In this case, it's the size large, the medium size of the 3, because we've got a small, a large and an extra large. We added that third size to it when it was clear from the feedback that there were too many of the regular Layercake customers that wear high-lows and baggies, for which this size, this kind of medium size, the large that we did for the Palazzo wasn't quite generous enough. So we've done an extra large. This is the medium size of the three, but again, I could go a size up and it would still work. I would just have more fabric. It would just be more generous. So again, it gives you choice to choose what kind of look and cut you're after. Do you want it more fitted around your hips, or do you want extra space and extra fabric to move? So this is the charcoal one, and then worn with the step top. Great outfit, nice and summery and airy outfit, of course, as well. And this could easily again be combined with one of those little bags. So I will start working on those, hopefully something to show you this autumn. Now we're on garment number 5, the Palazzo trousers. And of course, these can very easily be combined with the other garments that I've already shown you. So as one example, we've got the shirt, back to the smock. Great outfit, right? 1, 2, 3. So 3 garments not on, 3 garments on, and you've still only seen 5 of the 6 in total. So what is missing? Of course, it can only be one thing: a dress. I'll have the dress. Here it is, dress. I've added it to the existing outfit because I wanted to show you what difference it makes. And of course, this being a very dark color dress, it doesn't really jump out much. It doesn't really pop out much compared to the Palazzos. And that is a choice that you can keep in mind when you put your capsule collection. Do you want more contrast or less? This is all very, very dark and muted as a combination. But if, for example, I would change this dress for a bright color, it would really impact the outfit, of course. Not just because you get more contrast, but also because you're bringing in a brighter color. So that's back to your personal preference and whether you like those contrasts or not. In particular, this dress is a dress that you haven't actually seen yet. There's something unusual about it, in the sense that, not in the sense that it's a new color fabric. This was a color that I was wearing. I was wearing a step top made out of this color, and talking about how to combine the names, or how to choose the names of the stripe, one of the striped fabrics, which is made up of the same colors that this color is made up of. And I was planning to call this color Night. And it's made up of a dark gray blue color combined with black. So it makes this beautiful, very, very dark, shimmery blue. Then I've got a striped fabric, I'll show it to you here, that has those same 2 colors in the dark blue and the black, but woven into a stripe rather than just a cross weave. So I was asking on Instagram, how should I call that stripe? If this is called Night, what should I call the stripe? And one of my really enthusiastic Layercake customers called Helen, she said, well, one stripe is one thing, but why don't you call this Magpie? I thought, oh my gosh, yes. I like that even better, Magpie. You know how the feathers of a magpie can take on this bluish sheen depending on how the light hits them. And that's the same with this color. It looks like black, but it's got this bluish kind of shimmer to it. Magpie is perfect. I've received some really good suggestions for the stripe as well. And it made me realize, you know what? We'll do a bit of a competition, or yeah, why not call it a competition, for naming all of those stripes. Not just the dark one, but all of them. So look out for some information on Instagram in the week to come, and we'll do a competition with a little prize at the end for all the winning names. Like it? I hope you do. But back to this dress. This dress has got something else different about it. It is made with a top that is cut like the smock and the tabard are. Normally with the sleeves, the armholes of the tulip dress, we cut those an inch or two higher than we do the smocks and the tabards. These are meant to be over pieces, worn over the top of something else, whatever that something may be. Whereas the idea behind the dress is that you can wear it without anything, without another garment underneath, apart from a bra or a bralette or whatever. Now, that has worked extremely well, but the dress does not have any bust darts. That is on purpose. It's to increase the range of people that the dress is a good fit for. However, you get to a point where there are ladies who are built in such a way that either they have a bigger bust or their body shape is just different in a way that they would really benefit from bust darts when the armhole is cut higher like we normally do with the dress. So there is a contingent of Layercake customers who currently don't wear the dresses because they just don't sit right around the bust. However, the smock and the tabard sit great because they have that extra give that the bigger armholes give you. And that's what this dress has. It's got bigger armholes, the bigger armholes of the smock and tabard, but the bottom of the tulip dress. So I'm really interested to hear what you think of that and whether that should be something that I bring in as a permanent option in the Layercake range. I need to talk about it in more detail to you so that I reach as many people as possible with that question, because the viewership of this podcast is small compared to the contingent of people who regularly buy Layercake. So I'm going to try and ask that question to a wider group of people, but I'd be very interested to hear from you what you think of that. The idea of having the tulip dress with the armholes of a smock or tabard as an alternative for people who suit that fit around the bust better. I know the upshot of that is that you then have to wear at least a vest underneath, but at least it gives you the option of wearing this dress year round with something underneath or with just a vest in summertime due to the lower armholes. So let me know what you think. So back to the outfits. A very nice classic color combination with this dark color magpie in combination with the charcoal. And of course we can start adding and playing with that outfit. I can lose the shirt and put like an undershirt back on, a long sleeve top back on. I can lose the trousers, for example. I could wear this dress over the top of the play suit, etc., etc. I will show you the effect of wearing a different color top, a different color dress in combination with the rest of this outfit though. So with the smock back on, and then instead of having that dark dress, having a lighter one in between. But then I'll come back for the last couple of outfits to finish the story of having 6 Layercakes and building that as a complete wardrobe. Look at this, isn't it pure joy? So for all you ladies who bought some of the nice colorful pops of color summer dresses, summer tulip dresses this year, keep an outfit like this in mind when you start layering in autumn. Put that pop of color in between a couple of neutrals and see what it does to the outfit. Do you see what I mean? It's just so playful. Then of course I can add the scarf scarf, shawl rather, because this is one of the large Stephen West shawls. Isn't it great? Nice and colourful, and they're all different colours, but they just all look fantastic with each other. Put it around your neck when it's autumn time and you need some more warmth there. And that pop of colour in between. So you could choose a knit for this autumn if you're going to knit a nice shawl. And for one of the colours, pick one of your brighter Layercake dresses. And then wouldn't it be wonderful if I had a multicoloured shawl and that nice bright dress colour would feature in it as a pop. It would make a connection between the two garments and make the outfit even more fabulous. So that's an idea for working your knits this autumn and bringing one of the bright colours from one of your brighter Layercakes in. The other thing that I wanted to show you, completely different subject, but before I forget, I hope you can see, I don't know if you can see, if you can't, I'll do a close photograph. Let me take the smock off again to show you the texture of the dress. This is the dress that sustained light damage when it was hanging in the window of my studio. And I then overdyed it with yellow, and the color difference is still there. You can still see it. I don't know if you can see it in the picture, but that's not what I wanted to show you. What I wanted to show you is that I was talking about putting Layercakes in the dryer to give them that parchmenty look or feel. And we had a discussion about that on Instagram recently. Like, do you air dry your linens or do you put them in the dryer? And some people said, oh, you know, it's really bad to put your linens in the dryer. I have a very different opinion about that. But what I did with the dress, I hung it up to dry. So it was really nice and straight, no crunkles or strange kind of folds anywhere. All nice and straight. And then when it was almost dry, and you know when you air dry your linens, they go quite hard. They don't go as loose and soft and floppy as what your dryer achieves. So when it was almost dry, I put it in the dryer for just 10 minutes. And it came out with even more of that parchment crunkly look that I like so much. So it's like having crumpled up a piece of paper and then straighten it again. That's what happens with the surface of the linen, which I adore. So if you're not too keen on dryers and drying your clothes completely, but you love this look and you love your linens to be soft, then air dry your linen, and when it's almost dry, just pop it in the dryer for 10 minutes or so and you achieve this look. So if you then want to go back to more of the sheeny look, you can achieve that very easily by steam ironing it. And if you think, oh gosh, you know, it's like those crunkles don't come out, all it needs is more steam and a hotter iron, and iron it for longer. It will straighten back out, but it needs a bit of work. So I like this look, but if you don't, then of course everything's fine. No, we're not all the same in that respect. And the good thing with the Layercake linen is it will sustain both different approaches and both looks continuously. So you can swap and change, have it sometimes really nice and straight, sometimes more crumpled. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can oscillate between the two. So back to the original dress. I'm going to put the darker dress back on and take the trousers off to go back to our outfits. So back to the dress and starting it off on its own by itself as a summer garment that can just have a scarf or maybe a short little cropped cardigan added to it as a summer outfit. And of course we can then put a smock or a tabard over the top, or the step top. Here it is in the teal, like I've shown before. And of course, you've already seen me wear the dress with the white shirt, so I won't put that back on. But the one last thing that I did want to show you is the difference that it can make whether you wear a really neutral and dark long sleeve t-shirt or you choose your pop of color for the t-shirt. I'll go and put it on. So what I wanted to compare and show to you is the difference between this outfit and then this one. And back again. See the impact of a colorful top compared to a white shirt, and how big the difference in the whole outfit is by just changing the color of that top. Same goes for the smock. If I choose a different color smock, or I, for example, put that peacock tabard back on, I'll quickly do it. Here's the tabard and the peacock. Again, looking great with a brighter top underneath. So, back to the original intent of what I wanted to show you today and why. The idea behind it was to have 6 pieces that make up a complete Layercake wardrobe. The dress, the palazzos and the play suits take care of the bottom half of your body. And then the shirt, the step top and a smock or tabard take care of the top half of your body, if we don't count the fact that the dress, of course, covers the top part of your body as well, as does the top of the play suit. So those 6 pieces in total give you so many different outfit options. By combining and layering them, they can all be interchanged with each other and they can all be worn either separate or together. If you then add just 2 long sleeve shirts, a neutral colored one and a bright one, and 1 pair of leggings maybe if you want another bottom to be able to wear with your existing outfits, you do have a complete wardrobe. And that would be enough if you would just own those clothes, because of how you can swap and change them. Now, that is of course considered pretty minimalist by our spoiled standards, and most of us have a lot more garments in our wardrobes. But the idea behind this is not just to go for a minimalist wardrobe when you're at home, but to help you decide what to take with you when you go on a trip. My rule for travel is as follows. If you have 4 complete outfits of garments that can also be chopped and changed into different outfits, like those 6 Layercakes can, then you can go take those 4 outfits and go on a trip that lasts as long as you need it to. As long as you can wash the garments, of course. If there's no way of washing them, then you'll need to bring more. But anybody who goes on a trip that lasts more than a week tends to have access to a facility of washing their clothes. So if you go a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 4 outfits would be enough. Those 6 Layercake garments with 2 tops, maybe a long sleeve and a short sleeve, for example, that would last you, not counting any coats that you want to bring with you. I'm not counting outerwear. It's just for making up outfits. You can make so many outfits that it will last you. So going back to just going away for a week and not wanting to wear the same thing every day, if you go away for a week, you could wear an outfit twice if it would come down to it. And that's what the idea of bringing 4 outfits is based on. If you bring 4 outfits, you don't wear any one outfit more than twice in that week, or don't have to anyway. So that would give you a varied look. And if you go longer than a week, then you can play with them and have them washed or wash them yourself in between to have access to clean outfits and clean outfits that you can play with for weeks to come. So that's the magic formula for taking garments when you're going on a trip. 4 outfits, and if those outfits are made up by garments that can be swapped and changed, you're set for a much longer period. Right, that's it for me again this time. I hope you found that useful information. If you have any comments or feedback on it, let me know. Look out for the striped Layercake fabric competition on Instagram, and I will see you again soon.